everybody, this is Colleen with Colleen's Clay Addiction, and today I'm going to show y'all how to cover a zebra type pen. I said this one time before, but when I'm finished my project, I take the clay that's left over from that project and I mix it all together, and I do some twisting and cutting and mixing. One of my previous videos shows you how to do that, but then I come up with something that looks like this. So first of all, what we need to do is take the pen apart. That's the easy part. And I'm going through quite a lot of pens. I am a pen fanatic, and I look for the easiest pens that will actually bake, because some have melted. Fun fact, learn the hard way. Okay, so you unscrew the bottom, you take that out, you take this little rubber grip thing off. Whoop. Hey, and this piece fell out right here. There it is, but it's part of it. And then we're gonna unscrew this top, and that leaves you with this little tube here. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take this here and I'm gonna cut. This is the one I made in the previous video. It's still yet to be baked, but now we're on a new video, and this is just an idea of some of the other scrap clays that I've gotten from other projects. I am a fanatic for these marbled clays because I think they make the most phenomenal pens anywhere. All right, so easy peasy. So all we have to do is cut some clay. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool looking. All right, so let's start laying them out together. Yeah, I like that pattern. We'll go with that. I don't know, it looks like a face of some sort, doesn't it? Who knows? Whoa, and I broke a piece off. Good job. Okay, back to work. We're gonna need a few more. These pens are just a little bit thicker than the other pens that I do, so they take a little bit more clay. But here we go. Next, we're gonna use this one, and its partner is, maybe it doesn't have a partner. Maybe its partner wasn't cut yet. That could be the case. Sometimes it's like a puzzle and you got to figure out how to best put it together. And sometimes, I don't know, they just don't really go together well. So they're just going to make their own project. Here we go. All right, so if you measure it out, it's long enough. You've got enough that way, but you're going to need to spread it out a little bit. So get our little roller. And we're going to start rolling it out a little bit. Without smushing it like that. And be careful, because you saw I just decided to stay on the roller. We don't want it to do that. We want it to get really thin because we don't need it to be really thick around the pen. So I'm born and bred New Orleans girl. So that's from a project I made for something with the Saints. My daddy was a diehard Saints fan, rest his soul. And so by default, I always loved the Saints. So what I did there was I just cut off to make one flat side, so it's easier to start putting it around the pen when you have one flat side. I can also go off here and cut this edge off here because I know I'm not going to need that much. You can wait till after, you can do it before. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. I'm cutting it off here, but actually it's going to have to go a little higher than that because these little threads here on the pen, they're going to have to continue to show so that the end of the pen will actually screw back on. All right, so we're going to pull this off of the glass. We're going to look at both sides and see which side we like. I don't know. Let's do this side. Okay, so you're going to put it, you're going to go like this. You're going to put it to the very top. You're going to put it to the bottom. And just like and then you're going to just start rolling and pulling slowly, because if you pull too hard, you will rip your clay, and it's kind of a pain to try. Okay, so as you can see, I hope you can see, they're starting to come close together. There's some little extra pieces here, so it's easier to just lay it down cut that little extra piece off. Come back up and start working with it again. Just slowly squeeze it together like that until it comes into one line. This one's already one line. Because they have that grip here, it makes it smaller. Now, there's two things you can do. If you wanted, you could actually take away all this clay and you could keep the grip and you could put the grip back on there. In fact, you know, why don't we try that? Because to be honest, I've never done any of the pens and kept the grip, but what the heck? There's always a first, right? All right. So let's see. So I'm just cutting off the edge where the grip is going to go to, and you can, there's a little ridge that I can feel. At least I think that's a ridge. All right. So we're going to cut that off. I'm just going to take that clay away. Let's slide this up. Yeah, see? And then it'll just be, so then you'll have that comfort piece. Now, with that, that's a, so we wouldn't have had to use that much clay if I'd have thought about that ahead of time. But I didn't, and that's the way I end up doing half my projects. But you're gonna come here and you're gonna kind of smooth these two seams together to get it not to look as much like a seam. So it's not so prominent. You really, when you're making clay projects, you really want to try to hide any kind of seam at all. It just makes for a pretty more finished project. All right. With that, I have it pretty much smoothed out. Now, in order to get its round shape to stay, I'm just going to roll it onto the glass. Smooth that out. When I smooth it like that, because I'm pushing on the clay sometimes and getting it to make its shape, sometimes my fingerprints are in there a little bit. And if you just kind of really lightly pull it like that, just smooth it out, it takes your fingerprints off. I don't really think anybody needs a project with their fingerprints on it. So there we go. All right. So when I come up here and look at the top, I'm going to see that it's just a little tiny bit of an overflow there. So I'm just going to snip that off. Smooth it out, snip that off and smooth it out. I am going to go bake this and then I'll be right back and we'll show you the rest and how you finish it up. So I just got the pen out of the oven, let it cool down. Because of the low temperature, there was no distortion. I should have saved one of the pens so y'all could see what happens when it's too high of heat. Anyway, I'm just going to show you for just a few seconds. I'm going to use the buffing wheel on the Dremel tool, and I'm going to buff it up a little bit to show you how shiny it can be. Let me just show you quick. Just a matter. So that's real quick how it looks. So this is without the shine, this is without the buffing, and then this side is with the buffing. You can see how much shinier it is. I'm gonna go ahead and buff the rest of it up and then come right back. Okay, I'm back now. The whole thing has been buffed, and it has a decent amount of sheen on it. It's not overly shiny, but it's definitely, if you were happy with it and wanted to leave it like that, would certainly be fine. It's nice and smooth. I've seen a lot of videos. I've texted with a lot of people, and I know a lot of people do a lot of sanding first to smooth it all out, like tons of sanding and then buffing, and they get this what looks like super shiny look. I've never been able to accomplish that. I spent way more time sanding than I care to, and I still don't get a much better effect than I do by just straight buffing it and then putting on a little coat of varnish. So in my opinion, it's the way to go. If you want to go give it some shots with sanding it up really good and then varnish and then buffing it, be my guest. But anyway, this is the way I do it. So now I'm going to come back with just a little bit of varnish. And I'm just going to put on a coat. Nothing exciting, nothing earth-shattering, just a simple coat of varnish all the way around. It's going to give it a nice, pretty, shiny glassy look when it's done. See, nice, pretty, shiny, glassy look. I'm gonna set that aside. I'm gonna let it dry. And then when I get back, we'll put the pen back together and have a finished project. All right, and now for the final step. So this has all been varnished, and now we just have to put the pen back together. So we're gonna put this little white piece back in here. Very integral for that. And then we're gonna look for the prettiest side, so that would be this side. So we're gonna come around and make that the front, where the clip is, because that's the side you'll see. And then we're gonna shove that back on there, so that's on there like that. And then we simply put this back in, shove this back on, and then we just have to screw it back on, and ta-da! Here we go. Fun fact, we have a cute little pen that still has your rubber writing guard on it. And now it's a little fancier. So fun fact, if this pen doesn't look exactly like the way we started it, that's because when I went to go put it back together, I forgot that little white piece. And when I went to pull it apart, this cracked and I had to start it over again. So, I mean, I really probably didn't have to tell you all that. Probably only a few you would have noticed, but it's just me and I'm just keeping it real. So this is Colleen with Colleen's Clay Addiction signing off. I hope y'all enjoyed the video and I hope you give these pens a try. It's a lot of fun.